So now the next we have a hacking web server, right? So what we can say about those web servers actually, like what web server, and then how we can check those vulnerabilities, and then after that how we can exploit those vulnerabilities with the help of different tools and mechanisms, right? So in that particular topic, we are going to first talk about how we can gather informations, right? We can say the footprinting of web server using the different information gathering tools, we can say that, okay. And then after that we have simple talked about the enumerations part. If you remember, then we already discussed with that point as well, enumerations of web server, right? And then finally the crack or hack those applications or services. That could be your FTP, that could be your HTTP or something like that, with the help of Hydra applications too as well, right? So these are topics we are going to cover in that inside this particular web server hacking, right? Now, so what the first process we have that, right? The first, gather informations about those web server using the different tools and different mechanisms, right? The very first tool what we have that, the host type, right? So what's the host type? We can say under this section we need to gather the information. So especially to gather the web server informations, that we are going to use this particular host I, right? So again, it's like an open source tool, we can download from the GitHub repository and all those things, right? So this tool allow to find all the informations about a web server. What type of information? Again, we can see the DNS lookup, the host lookup and all those things, the CNAME, right? The DNS record, then we can say the topology in the etherap and all those things, right? And also we have like a trace route and trace record as well. So all the information we can gather with the help of this information. If you notice now what they are mentioning, the OS, the software version, the server name, and the database schemes and other things we can simple find with the help of these mechanisms. And then the server name, server type, OS and application running all these messages we can find them, right? So these are information we can get that. How we can get those information? So for what I'm going to do that, let's suppose, so this is my attacker machines, right? The very first point you guys can, you can download from this particular host I from GitHub, right? So right, so these are two, like, so information scanner and reconnaissance tool, right? So these are information you can download that, right? In my case, right, this tool is by default downloaded. So what I'm going to do that, simple, log in with my root user first, okay, then cd home attacker, okay, and then we have a host I, so that is host I, and here I'm going to provide like simple, we can say Python 3 and host I dot, okay. So very first thing we need to run this command pip3 install requirement and requirement dot text. Okay, so we have a typo missing. Okay, so install this requirement packages for now again, right? With the help of host I we are going to gather those different information. So just run this command host.py. Okay, here we have a option what we can do with the help of this particular host I, right? So the very first we can check that our graphically network with the help of etherap. It's in built one actually, right? Then we have like DNS record, whois lookup, and map port scanning, the header record, the click jacking, the robust, multiple options we have that, right? If you notice now, the crawl, the trace route, the IP location finder, the link grabber and all those things, right? Let's suppose I wanted to verify my system locally connected with we can say the topology and all those things, right? So what I can do that, I can simply press 1, okay, it will show in the graphical way my system's topology in that way. So let me show with you, if you notice now, right? So just a moment, it will take a little bit time to gather those informations, right? So if you notice now, this is 1.13 is my system, right? They're connected with the primary and secondary DNS, we can say Google, right? And also, just a moment, right? It's trying to capture those things, right? And we can also check that we have like protocol, we can say MDNS, domains, and it will show that many more protocol as well. You can check here as well the protocols type and all. So to gather the information, it will take a little bit time, right? So this is like your DNS information, this is your machines that's locally connected, right? It will show all those informations accordingly. Okay, so if you notice now we have some diagram, right? So if you notice now we have like 1.13 that connected with this particular DNS, right? And then we have like 1.14, right? So actually it will take time, right? And it will show all the connected information, like the system connected with which algorithms and which protocol type, right? So accordingly what we can do, we can configure and then we can perform those different tasks and different actions too as well accordingly. Okay, so let it run. Actually, I'm just going to minimize those things. Okay, so let it run, not a problem. I'll show you the another example too as well, right? So this is a point. Similarly, okay, right? Now the next, if I want to verify other information, let's suppose those DNS lookup and all those things, what I can say to, and then mention the domain or IP. Let's suppose I wanted to get that information about this domain, right? Just hit enter. If you notice now, it will show the DNS information about those particular domain, right? If you notice now what we have that, these are details, right? So again, these are my records, NS record, we can see the name server record, right? The signatures and all those things, right? Then again, we can say those connection information about the IP version 6, okay? And then we have like mail exchange, SOA, system of authority, name server, and then the address record, right? So these information you can check that. Similarly, wanted to verify those like IP locations and all those things, what I can mention that's number 10, like I need to get the information about this domain, right? If you notice now, they may be asked that this domain or IP is coming from this particular. So this is my domain name, this is the IP addresses of those machines, then the status, the regions, the country, the city may vary actually, right? Then the latitude and longitude, the zip code, and all those informations, right? So we can say about the same with the help of this particular host type. What we can do, we can simply gather the informations, right? Like what kind of information with the help of this host type, so we can check these kind of informations, right? Wanted to crawl those information, wanted to gather the information kind of thing, we can use these informations or the content where we can provide, where we can update or get the information about our we can say victim, or as an auditor we can also get those things, right? So this is information about this particular ghost type, correct? Now in the same thing, I mean the again we're talking about those gathering the information. So with the help of ghost type we can perform those things, right? Similarly, if you want to gather more information about those any web servers and all those things, right? Then we have like a locally browser based tool that we can say Skipfish, right? So again what we can say is Skipfish is also a tool, right, that used to reconnaissance about your web server, right? So what you can do that, simple install the Skipfish in your offensive based machine, we can say Kali or Parrot machines, right? And then what you can do that, you can simple perform those vulnerable analysis, we can say that, or reconnaissance, right? Again if you notice now what we have that, it's like active web applications, right, that used for the reconnaissance purposes and all those things. So with the help of these we can find the informations and then we can provide those authentications and authorization of those systems. How we can do that? So for that what I'm going to do that, let's suppose, right, we have a tools for the same, right? And the first point, you need to install those packages. What command we have that, the very first point, apt install, right? And then you can simply install Skipfish for now, okay? So in my case this package by default install, but again if you guys need then you can install that, right? And for the testing purposes, right, what I'm going to do that, I'm going to simply launch my local WAMP or XAMPP server, you can say that. Either you can also use your real server as well, not a problem, right? Because again this we are talking about the ethical hacking, right? So I cannot it's not about that like cannot that, but again for that actually we cannot directly hit on any server. So for that I just created my own XAMPP or WAMP server. So for that we can provide those traffic, correct? If you think that like if you have any authorized server, then again you can provide those things. So what I'm going to do that I'm going to simply launch those WAMP. So these are going to find the vulnerabilities, right? Or we can see it's like a reconnaissance tool. So now the WAMP is in running state. Okay, so minimize these things. Now jumping on my offensive based machines. So what command we have that to find those vulnerabilities and then those information, right? So far what I'm going to do that simple, we have a program inbuilt it, right? So the command what we have that skipfish, right? Then just store the output in some file. We can see the home test tracker somewhere else. Okay, then what I can say that then we have like a source for the same. So the source we have like USR share dictionary word and all those things, right? And then the IP addresses. What command we have that simple run a command like skipfish, like I wanted to store the information in my somewhere home attacker and something folder like skip, right? And then we have an inbuilt program, we can say the dictionary word and all those things. So that is something like that USR share. Just use the tab for auto completions, right? Under the dictionaries, right? Then we have like complete word and then just mention those URLs. In my case we have like http:// we have like 10.10 the server actually where our XAMPP server is running 22 10.10.10.:8080. Okay, so skipfish -o, right? Output, just hit enter, right? It show it will take actually time, right? So at least we need to run minimum 4 to 5 minutes. Okay, so if you notice now what they are going to perform, that they are going to perform those web server scanning, and also they are going to perform those database scanning, right? So it will take, if you notice now, it will take a little bit time. We are mentioned something, just a second please. Skip, then we have a 10.10.10.20 is the IP. Yeah, so that's why it will take actually time. Just a second, I just missed that different host. Home attacker skip. Okay, so it will take time, right? Depending on the size of those web server. Hit enter. Okay, yeah. If you notice now, they are trying to perform those vulnerable scanning, those reconnaissance and all, right? So run it minimum, we can say like 4 to 5 minutes, and after this press Ctrl C, right? Okay, so if you notice now, right, the record are going to store in this path like home attacker scheme that we provide those things, and then the path, right? So Firefox and home attacker test, inside that we have skipfish, inside that we have index.html, right? Hit enter. If you notice now, here we got all those details like that. Okay, so let me show you some example too as well. Okay, if you notice now, they are simple generating the report, and what are they saying there? The scanner versions, the speed and all those, the seed and all those things, right? The date and time, the total and all, right? The will is perform like 5 minutes and 1 second and something millisecond. Now the scroll result. So this is your result, right? If you notice now, what they are mentioning that their issue may be type of the SQL injection, the parameter may be the, we can say the XSRF protections and all those things, and all those are like fine. But if I just notice now, if you notice on this particular SQL queries informations, right? What they are saying that when I click on this particular this information, so what they are mentioning those like that, right? If you notice now, so it showing in the plain text your virtual host path. If you notice now, what they are saying that this page are going to call from this path, like inside your C drive, WAMP. So this should not show because it's like a secure services. So the current path or maybe the configuration path could not be shown in this particular web server. So this is like a different, it's like a vulnerabilities and all those things, right? And also they are saying that it's running on the locally on which port 8080, and this is your directive where the page is calling. You can also modify those changes with the help of delete sections, right? And then the hosts are going to verify or change from this particular host file. It's host, we can say that, right? You can also change your host information. So this is, we can say this is the incorrect information of the point of this particular host, right? In the same point, if I just show you the another point, right, this particular host information actually, right, the same, it will show those informations too as well. And if I just click on the show traces sections, right, so they show those version even though, right, the HTTP versions and all those things, right. So this is also incorrect format to configure those Apache servers and all those things. So it will show those cookies informations. This is because you know that with the help of cookies what we can do, that you can simple exploit the SQL injections technique and all those things. So we have like cookies IDs, right, then we have like virtual host information, then we have like submit button on information, then there is a response. So these are like active information, right, and with the help of these things, the code way we can say that we are showing the plain text. So this is the wrong information, this should not show when we are configuring those web servers and all those things, right. So what we can say that we can simple check those informations, right, when we talk about those authentications and authorization of those servers, right, pressing skip, okay, clear. Similarly you can also check those show traces, right. So again we can check that we have an encoded format, the PHP versions, and then the then those HTTP versions, right. So this is also incorrect information, right. The versioning of the application should not show when we're talking about those configuration of this particular web server, right. So what we can say, with the help of skipfish we can simple gather the information, and then we can check the reconnaissance, and also will show that yeah, these problem may be occurred when maybe the configurations are correctly configured or not configured, so depend, right. So these are like a result, right, and the information, when you click on this particular link and information, they show that we have some kind of bugs and all. Actually this is like a vulnerable site, but again these are information we can check that, like PHP my admin pages, the administrator pages, all the information are showing here. So it's like a incorrect configurations. What you need to do, that you need to simple configure and secure your file, that not exposing the publicly. So this is the like skip list.